to more plays that you guys saw on tape that you feel like you could have made. Where were those? I guess what do you have to do to be able to convert those?
We just need to get better. There's certain the offense is it's a complicated offense. So there were certain things that the receivers weren't doing that were, for lack of a better term, jamming up the quarterback, so to speak, taking the quarterback off a rhythm. And we eliminate those things. We need to we can throw for a higher percentage, and we really need to throw for a higher percentage than what we did, because that means we're going to be able to keep the ball longer. We'll have more first downs, less yardage on third down to convert, to keep the ball, which helps our defense and helps our football team. So we're searching for perfection, and we may not ever find it, we may not ever catch it, but that's what we're looking for.
Is that the wide receivers? I mean, in different spots as far as press coverage and stuff like that?
Absolutely.
Well, you talked a little bit about, well, first of all, how many true freshmen did you use on defense?
God, man, you're going to ask me that question. I can think of one,
Here's
two.
a list of true freshmen that played.
Okay, thank you very much. I know they're all going to play a lot of them.
How many of those guys played on D?
We had one, let me see here. One, two played on defense, and we had one play on special teams. So 3 out of that group actually played in the game.
Okay. Who were the guys who were on defense? Harris?
Jackson and Bozeman played on defense, and was it Harrison or was it Brandon? Which one played on special teams?
Brandon.
17.
Oh, Harrison.
Harrison Roberts played on defense.
Okay. How did you?
Special teams.
How did you feel your true freshmen held up in that scenario?
They were overwhelmed, but it's a blessing. They won't go against God. I mean, we got to go through the Big Ten swing, and Memphis is a fabulous team. The non-conference is no joke. But when we get through with our non-conference and we let the freshmen grow up with these teams that we're playing, then they'll be able to handle whatever the East or the West throws at them. But right now, they're a little overwhelmed. Yeah, there's 17, 18-year-old cats going against 21, 20-year-old men from the SEC.
Is that a reason then for confidence that, I mean, it would be very easy to say, hey, we just gave up 600 yards, and I understand it's Tennessee and et cetera, but is that a reason for confidence moving forward?
Now, when you say 600 yards, you're jumping back from offense to defense. I don't expect to give up 600 yards against anybody. I mean, unless I'm playing the man upstairs, we're not giving up 600 yards. I'm not happy with that.
Right.
But my biggest thing when you play teams is, you want to turn it into an offensive and defensive game. Our defense should be good enough to hold those numbers down to respectable numbers. Now, what that number is, you guys can tell me. Our offense should be able to score points against defenses. What happens when you play people that are a lot bigger than you are, those Power Fives, is special teams. And that's exactly what we couldn't let happen. That happened. Their momentum and the field position game, the advantages they got from that were unbelievable. And then when the flag is thrown 3-1, I mean, it makes it almost impossible. And when you look at the score and all the things that were going on in the game, I'm really proud about how they kept battling back, how our team kept battling back and trying to make it a game. I'm not saying that we had, based off the score, we had a chance to win that game, but they kept battling back like, no, this is not going to be a blowout. We have a chance. We're going to get back into this game. No, you can't go back out in the parking lot and drink Jubilees, okay? We're still playing here. You need to sit down and watch us. So I'm proud about that play.
When you go back and look at the film on the special teams, first the punt cover, and I asked you the same thing Saturday, how much is that, or where do you assess the responsibility for that?
A lot of it's the field position. There's certain things when you're backed up inside your 20-yard line that we don't do on our punt team that we do when we're outside the 20-yard line, because you got to protect for the block kick. And when you spend all that time on protection, when your guys are spending extra time on protection, that costs them 2 steps on coverage. Take 1 step back, that's 2 steps. It's the step to go forward and the step that you should be. So you give a big those returners at Tennessee, that much space with rolling start, I mean, that's tough sledding right there.
You talked about the non-conference schedule being no joke. Is it tough to not look at it as being overwhelming when you're in the midst of it?
Oh, we're competitive. I don't look at it like that. We need to find a way to get a win. We're upset that we're 0-1, and the stats came out, and it goes by alphabetical order. But the guys that have a win, they go up on the top, and the guys that go on the bottom, that don't have a win, they go on the bottom. I don't like us being on the bottom. We've got to find a way to try to find a win, and we're gonna do everything we can possible to try to find a win against our next opponent, which happens to be Maryland. And if we can't do it against them, then it'll go the next week after that. But we're desperately seeking a win, not Susan, but a win.
It looked like, just from a couple quick highlights, that Maryland's special team was pretty good Saturday.
I don't know what PG, I don't know what that means. They look doggone good to me, Thomas. I mean, the guy set what a Big Ten record, 224 yards. Their cornerback, I think it's Lively, number 7. He's about this tall, and he plays about that tall. Outstanding player. And he might be the best special team player we play all year when it comes to punt returns and kickoff returns. And that's not even, you should see him play DB. I think he was first team all Big Ten as a corner. Unbelievable corner. Fabulous player. You guys watch number 7 in the game. He's something.
You feel like that's going to be a big key of the game?
Yes.
What do you got to do differently to contain their special teams compared to what happened Saturday?
We need to get better. I mean, some of those mistakes were guys playing for the very first time, whether that was a freshman or a walk-on in a situation, or a scholarship guy on special teams for the very first time. So, it's different, and your biggest growth is between the first and second game. We're not going to play S. I'm not allowed to say the word. I'll tell you later if you can't figure out what it is. We're not allowed to play S, but we have to be smart. We have to pick and choose when we want to let a good player like that touch the ball.
Can you give updates on Travis Green?
Travis Green is fine. He's hurt, but he's not out for the season or anything like that. He'll be back.
But he won't play this week?
I'm not going to say
is what
that.
I'm inferring from that.
I'm not going to answer that.
Okay. Cockett?
Box, we've got to see. We're not quite sure. We've got to see on him. I haven't got the final word one way or another on him, so that's gospel.
If you're down your top 2 backs, how much more difficult does that make your task going in to play a Big Ten team?
Well, I think our number 3 back is really good. Donovan Wilson, he's a transfer from Georgia Tech. I think he's really good. Matt Domer, our freshman that we just brought in here, I think is really decent. And then we'll have to see. Someone else has to step up. I mean, we're going to have a running back in the game. We're going to run the football. So somebody's going to turn around there, and it's not going to be the quarterback. So we'll turn around. We'll hand it to somebody.
You've obviously had time to look at the tape from Tennessee. Their running backs had a very good games. Maryland's running backs, the strength of their offense. What kind of adjustments you see that need to be made?
Well, my biggest thing with the Maryland has a fantastic running back. Right now his name's jumping out of my head. But then when I looked and saw that he was 240 pounds, just like the Tennessee's running back, I'm going, holy moly, I didn't even know they grew him that big. And we're getting 2 in a row. So Coach Mike Loxley's the offensive coordinator there. Coach Etzel does a great job. He's always ran the football, even before when he was at Connecticut, I believe. So we know that they're going to run the ball. They got a 2-back system. And, I imagine that they'll try to do the exact same thing to us that they did to Richmond, and, based off the tape that they're watching with Tennessee. And I imagine they'll have some really good ideals based off of how many runs that Tennessee made on us.
I didn't know before I watched that game Saturday that your offense even included tight ends.
You sound like the recruits that we've been trying to get for the last year.
I did that on purpose.
Oh, okay.
Just a little bit about the play that you got. I mean, you had am I right to say 5 catches, including a touchdown from your tight end?
5 catches, 67 yards from the tight end position, and that hopefully that increases. Our offense has always included tight end. We have one of our coaches that helps with the tight end. Tom Friedman is our tight end coach, but one of the coaches that helps us, Jeff Leapak, played for us at Eastern Illinois University, and he was a 3rd-team All-American tight end, 67 catches for, I want to say 800 yards for tight end. You know, so we really do enjoy tight ends, but the conference is, I mean, the other coaches in the conference are doing a good job of keeping all the recruits away from us, so we can't get one. So we'll see if we can get one, and then see if we can get one more so that we can play with some tight ends.
And you've talked about the value, but if you would again, the value of a tight end, obviously there was a value against Tennessee, but that really comes into play when you're running the ball, especially in November.
There's no doubt. When you play in the MAC conference, you need tight ends. When the weather changes, you need tight ends. You need to be able to run the football. Also, when you're practicing against your defense, you need to be able to give them the looks during spring practice and during two-a-days that they're going to face. So when you have tight ends on your campus, not only can you run the football, but you get to run those type of plays against your defense, which makes your defense better against the run.
You talked after the game, Coach, about you can't wait to see how good Matt can be when the rust comes off. He threw for 4 1/4, and I'm assuming you're pretty happy with his play. Just how good do you think he can be this year?
I thought he was rusty. I thought he was rusty. I thought he made some plays. He's got to throw for a much higher percentage, and the receivers needs to help him. He has really grasped this offense. It's his first year, but he's not at game 1. He might be first season, game 6, and he's going to continue to grow. A couple of times with the ball, the receivers were running the wrong routes. A couple of times the receivers were in the wrong position. Don't get me wrong, because the receiving crew had an outstanding game. Obviously, you can't throw for 400 and something yards without them doing some things right. But we're really searching on that side of the ball. We're not like our defense. We're not in our first year, and we're searching for perfection on offense, and that's what we're running after. And we can get there. Okay, as long as we have faith, we can get there.
You've talked, Coach, about the offense really finding that next gear, season 2, week 4.
Yes, sir.
With Matt's situation being in, I think you just said season 1, game 6. Are we still, you still on the right path there?
We're still on the right path. Absolutely. A lot of games nowadays. Played 14.
Anything else for Coach?
All right, thank you, Coach.
Thanks, guys.